Greetings everyone, this is MoAhmun and I'm coming to you on a beautiful cycle. Once again, just want to remind everyone that the Akan is extremely busy, therefore he is thinking of you, I'm sure, but is just unable to take time out to produce a video. So those of us in the family who are a little closer to him have taken on the duties of just engaging with everyone and keeping everyone interested in the things that we know that is important to you, and that is repatriation, being off the grid. There are many other things that we're involved in, and at the beginning or the end of several of the videos that are being produced lately, you can get a list of all of those things that we're starting to implement and to become more engaged with our listeners, and hopefully everyone getting on the same page so that we can all mobily move in one direction. So today I just want to briefly talk about something that has always been important to me, and that is just the whole idea of getting off the grid and being off the grid. I'm sure many of you out there have heard that term, and you may associate it with just, being invisible, being in a world but not being detectable. But the general understanding and the thing that motivates most people who want to get off the grid is the fact that the environment that we live in today is not a natural environment. It is an environment that has been constructed and made for a purpose. And by that I'm talking about electricity in general. Just generally talking about electricity. I'm not an expert, but I do know a little bit about that. Electricity, the electric that's in your house, the appliances that you use, all of these things contribute to an electrical environment. Certain types of electricity has been associated with many neurological disorders, cancers. I don't think that the full scope of what living within an environment, meaning your house, your apartment, your bedroom, wherever, there is electricity there. So when most people talk about getting off the grid, number one, they're talking about stepping away from a residence or a dependence of a utility that is harmful over time to your body, to your mind, to your brain, to everything that causes you to think independently and coherently. So my whole thing is, I don't want to be living in an environment that is not natural to who I am, because I know that electricity and all of the things that are associated with it and all the things that we buy, you plug into it, and the worst of it is, the Wi-Fi. But if we stepped away from all of that and just went out someplace, in the wilderness, or it doesn't have to be in a wilderness, it could be a desert, or any place where you do not see power lines, you don't see Wi-Fi towers, just get as far away from that as possible. And whether you're going to set up a tent, whether you're going to hike to a place, park your RV or your camper or what have you, just get as far away from electricity as you possibly can. And for a week or so, most people probably, it's like, I can't do it, I'll go crazy. You don't know what you can do, and believe it or not, you're crazy right now if you've been living in a house that has nothing but gadgets that are plugged into a power, an outlet. So you're not crazy in this sense, but you don't know how your natural state, you don't even know what that feels like. We don't know what that feels like, because we've never separated ourselves away from it, detoxed our systems to get all of the harmful things that electricity does. Now, getting off the grid as our movement is within repatriation, because I just say repatriation because there's many things that fall under that. Getting off the grid, and for me, definitely, it means being undetected. I don't want to be on anyone's radar. I don't like the fact that, everywhere I go, I can be traced, I can be tracked. I don't take my cell phone with me the majority of the times when I do go out. Unfortunately, if you have a car that's modern, mine's is, 2017, I won't say the make or model, but right after, I purchased this car, the salesperson is like, well, come on, I'm going to set up your Wi-Fi. I said, no, thank you. So I don't want no Wi-Fi in my car. I don't want any. As a matter of fact, the newer cars, the cars today, let me tell you how much they want to track you. If you have a car that does not have modern gadgets, there are so many places that are seeking to buy your car that does not have detectable things in it. Okay, they want to get rid of all of these cars out here. Excuse me. They want to get rid of all of these cars out here that does not have GPS and Wi-Fi. Now, these things, when they're presented to us, it sounds so great, but over a period of 30 years, this is just ridiculous with all of the gadgets they're throwing at you. And if you're just one who has to have the latest gadget, you're prone to be someone who is just attached to things. That's all is immaterial. I mean, it has no value. It can only harm you. All of these things that they're constantly pushing on the people, pushing on our children. So there are many people who just want to step away from all of that, because ultimately they realize the dangers of it, being tracked and living in an environment that is electric. You can't even think right. So for me, being off the grid, being away from electricity, Wi-Fi towers, anything that is a public utility, I am game for all of that. But you can't just do it overnight. Nobody can just walk out their door and, pack up their car and go live in the woods somewhere. You just can't do it. But you can plan. You can plan to remove yourself from the system bit by bit, even while you're still living and functioning within the system. Because it is wise to plan. Because once you leave, trust me, you do not want to come back. I know I don't want to come back once I get out of here. So what you have to begin to do is mentally. Now, not to get off topic, but within YouTube, some of the communities for our family, there is also talk of separating from Babylon. Just not taking part in anything that goes on within this country. However, if you're still living in it. So a lot of times they talk about mental separation. You have to begin to mentally separate yourself from what is going on in the world. So that is similar to wanting to move off the grid, but just not being able to do that right now. But what you can begin to do is eliminate the electrical appliances that you know you're not going to be using. Just slowly start to do without. Number one, the biggest one would be that microwave oven. Get rid of that. So getting rid of the microwaves and the toasters and the little plug-in clocks. I believe it or not, I don't even wear watches anymore. And the ones that I do wear, they're the kind that you wind up. I'm a vintage lover. I love vintage things because they are sturdier. They're made better. So I do have watches. When I do wear one, I wind it up. Also, the battery that you're using on your watches, you are injecting harmful rays into your body just by having that battery, that little battery that you insert into the watch. You put that thing on your arm, and you are just doing harm to yourself. So the best thing to do is to educate yourself about what batteries, electricity, things of that nature that are not natural. What is it doing to your environment? What is it doing to your body? What is it doing to your thinking? So getting back to mental separation and mentally preparing yourself for being off the grid while you're living in this environment right now starts with your house. Unplug your TVs. If some houses, wow, they have huge TVs, they have huge just home theater systems. Those are things that you have to begin to separate yourself from. If you are one who wants to at some point separate yourself and get off the grid. Now, typically people who have a lot of things like that, those are not people who want to get off the grid permanently, because typically people who want to get off the grid they have minimal electrical gadgets in their home to begin with, because they know the dangers of them. So for me, unfortunately, everyone in my household does not think the way that I think. So I don't spend a whole lot of time in the house because there is just, I don't even like the Wi-Fi that is installed. If you have cable TV, as we do, there is a cable tower that has been redesigned that already comes with 2.4 megahertz and another selection of 5 megahertz. And I'm not even going to begin to talk about Wi-Fi and the dangers that it causes to the body. I want to stay on target, and my target is to just briefly speak to you about the importance of being off the grid. If you never really gave it any thought, but you've heard the term, understand that as an Ahman, someone from the family, a lot of the things that are pushed on you, they are to harm you. And you don't need to be living in an environment that is not natural to who you are. And we cannot be our best selves as Ahman and as the family, because everybody doesn't see themselves that way. So I'm putting this out there. The family members, a lot of us who know the dangers of these things, it's a beautiful thing. You know the dangers of it. You educate people about it, but yet we're still living within that, and it's just very, very harmful. The thinking of knowing the harm of something and still living within it. So what many people attempt to do is to offset the dangers of this world by, taking supplements, detoxing the system, fasting, things like that. It will help you. It will help you because it'll help your body to eliminate the accumulation of toxins. See, we have an accumulation of toxins in our body, and if you've never detoxed your system from the harsh metals that are in your bloodstream, it would be a good idea to even do that. So if you get rid of the accumulation of it, but still live in the environment that produces it, certain people are just in the habit of detoxing on a regular basis, and that's a good thing. It really is. But there are those who want to take it a step further and just get the hell out of this environment that is, the frequency level of it is just harmful to your thinking, to your consciousness. It is very difficult to be who we were created to be as a people living in this environment over here. So we got to get out of here. But while you are here and you're thinking about leaving, I'm just here to let you know that the number one reason that people do discuss and consider getting off the grid is because of the harmful effects of electricity within our household, and it does things to your body that is just not good. The other reason people want to get off the grid is because they're sick and tired of being tracked. They're sick and tired of, when I say being tracked, I'm not talking about somebody is tracking you or I. But if they want to, it's very easy for them to do that. So in a situation where there is mayhem and there's, a lot of craziness going on, if they want to track certain people, they'll track them. They really do. And if you're a person who does things by routine, you're probably the easiest person to track. If you have your location on in your car or in your phone, go ahead. You're just allowing them to watch you and view you if they want to. But I'm not about somebody watching me. I get sick and tired of having a conversation within my house, and then I get on my laptop, and guess what? The very thing that I'm talking about is an ad being pushed on me as soon as I go check my email. So they listen, okay? Just know that there's microphones. No matter how many times I turn off my microphone or my phone or my laptop or other things, it comes back on. The location comes back on. I'm constantly in my apps. I don't want to be tracked. See, that's why I spend too much time checking to see if I'm not able to be tracked. That's just a waste of time in my opinion, but I'm just addicted to not wanting to be under their radar. So I'm a person who, wants to get off the grid as soon as I possibly can. A lot of places that you would go to as far as other countries, they're, fully taken over by this system, so that a lot of other countries have the same situation, although the megahertz that's average in this country is much higher than other countries, and that's probably because we have more gadgets. The average person has more gadgets than people in other countries. But there are remote areas, even in this country, that you could go to, but ultimately, I don't want to stay here. I really don't. I want to go, and I want to go quickly. So I'm not going to belabor this message. I just wanted to briefly just mention what off the grid. There are two aspects. It's just not being within an electrical environment, and the other one is just getting off the grid, away from GPS, away from, things that can track you. But all of it, it's kind of good, because all of it is good, because who wants to be living in an environment that's not natural, in your homes? Let me just leave on this point. The very best thing you can do when you go to bed at night is turn off your Wi-Fi. Don't sleep with your, because I have people in my house that do it, but they just have to suffer through it. But they have their phones plugged in right above on their bedstand, and that is just not a healthy thing to do. So I shut it down at some point. turn off all that stuff, and you should begin to do that too. So with the mindset of being off the grid and learning to be off the grid within your own household, start to detach yourself from, number one, the appliances, because once you get out and you are off the grid, you're not going to be able to use them anyway. Get rid of your microwaves, get rid of things that you are not using, but they're just plugged into a wall. Start unplugging those things, because there are studies that even say when something is not even plugged in, it still emits, electrical waves or megahertz or whatever. Like I said, I'm not an expert in it. Generally speaking, I know the harms of what electricity does. So this is Mother of Ahmun, and I'm coming on to this platform because, like I said, Akan is very, very busy, and we're just stepping in. You're hearing many different voices on his channels, but it's all good because you get to hear the results of the teachings that the Akan, his influence and his knowledge, we speak it not as expertly as he does, but the whole idea of knowledge is a wonderful thing. It truly, truly is. So this is Mother of Ahmun. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I am sitting in a park. It's so sunny. It's beautiful. And I just hope everyone has a great cycle. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.